Hello YouTubers, there's been a lot of news with China lately. For example, just a couple of days ago, the State Department ordered China to shut down its consulate in Houston. I'll cover that issue in greater detail in my next video. This video is about the conflict in the South China Sea. First, what's the real reason for the conflict in the South China Sea? Well, like anything else, it's about natural resources and money. The South China Sea is filled with natural resources, making it a hotbed of economic activity. And when it gets down to it, nations, particularly empires, will always fight over such territory. Consider how economic growth occurs in a country. There are essentially two ways that you can achieve growth. One, you can develop the land you currently have. Two, you can absorb new land and territory into your country. For best results, do both. And this is exactly what China has been doing. It's been developing the mainland while trying to lay claim to territory in the South China Sea. I guess when it gets down to it, you can't knock them for the strategy. But how did the land get developed in the South China Sea? Was it by the Chinese, or was it by America and other Western powers? Let's be clear, the nations in the South China Sea aren't a part of China. Would anyone suppose that the Philippines is a part of China, for example? This is easy to understand by looking at our own geography. Just because it's named the Gulf of Mexico doesn't mean that the whole Gulf of Mexico is all Mexican, after all. Now that you understand the reason for the conflict, allow me to show some current examples that have been in the news. In this image using Google Earth, towards the north you see Hong Kong along the southern coast of China, along with the Hainan Island. Part of Indonesia is in the south with all the provinces of Kalimantan. The Philippines is in the east. See that red dot in the far east? That's in Winochuk, a part of Micronesia. That's where I was last year. But consider the Spratly Islands, slightly north of Indonesia. Just about anyone would recognize that it's part of Indonesia. But China has this silly idea that they have sovereignty over the Spratly Islands. Speaking of the South China Sea, here's another question. Where does the West Philippine Sea end and the South China Sea begin? On this image, notice the West Philippine Sea is in the south and the South China Sea is in the west. You see that island up there? Perhaps you've heard of Scarborough Shoal in the news. Let's zoom out and see where it's located geographically. See, it's just to the west of Manila in the Philippines. And most obviously recognize it's being owned by the Philippines. But again, China got this silly idea in their head that they have sovereignty over the Scarborough Shoal. And it's reported they're starting to build bases there. This was reported only a month ago. Now that we're up to speed, a couple of weeks ago, the Trump administration announced a dramatic shift in policy, likely due to bases being built by the Chinese in the South China Sea. And perhaps the administration's best foreign policy decision, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, in a move likely to inflame tensions even further, announced that the United States government rejects almost all claims of China's in the South China Sea. As a result, we can only expect tensions to increase in the South China Sea. The United States military, however, should be in the South China Sea to protect against and prevent Chinese aggression in the area. While I'm not here to tell anyone who to vote for one where we're looking for a solid reason to vote for Trump, there's a lot to like about his actions in China. That's all the time I have for now. If you like this video, please show your support by subscribing. Thanks for your time.